For once, it wasn't me running behind. It was your boy Brandon. And Brandon, we have some fun guests for everyone on this episode. I got to know these guys way back, I think in either 2021, 2020. I don't know. It's been a while since I got to talk to them for the first time. Got to run into them at the Kentucky Bourbon Festival recently as well, which, by the way, those tickets are going on sale soon, so you want to keep an eye out for those. But we have the co-founders of 15 Stars Bourbon, Ricky and Rick Johnson. Guys, welcome in.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, good to be here.
Pleasure.
Welcome.
Well, and, we're going to be talking a lot about the cool things you do as far as blending and, all these unique releases that you put out. So why don't we just hop right in and try the first one, which is your newest release, which is the 15 Stars 3 Ports, which is a mix of tawny, white, and ruby port cask on the finish, which sounds like quite a ride to me.
You ever heard of that before?
I have not. I've heard of each one of those being a finish.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've heard all three.
I think it's a first. We got a couple of firsts tonight, but this is our first.
Right. Yeah, so the 3 ports, like you said, tawny, white, and ruby port cask finished. It is 105 proof. So kind of right in our range of 100 to 110 where a lot of our products have been, where we think there's a good balance of, flavor and not having the proof distract from that. But it's a really tasty product. I would say the most fruit forward product we have. You get a lot of different fruit notes, and that's the cool thing about it is it's really complex in its assortment of fruit notes. I get everything from grape, blueberry, banana, a pretty large mixture, but then balancing that out, well, it is a blend of 9 and 15-year-old bourbons, so you get age on there for sure, and that, seasoned oak and baking spice background settles the fruit notes down a little bit to keep it from being too sweet.
Yeah. A lot of times we call these, really call them almost double blended. We are blenders, and we think that's how you get the very best flavors. We think is that opportunity to find a couple of things that go together and really widen that flavor profile out, give you more complexity, putting more depth in it, makes it a really interesting drink. But what we really do is we start with those bourbons, so in this case a 9 and 15-year-old, so a couple bourbons we love, right, that go well together. We blended something we love, then we put it in those 3 casks separately, right, blended together, but then in those 3 different casks, and then we pull it out and blend it back all together at the ratios that we think, again, optimize flavor. So we're really trying to, when we blend, we're trying to bring in those notes, extra complexity. We tend not to do it with 5 different bourbons, right? So in this case, 2 bourbons, and this is pretty complex, but we try not to overdo it. We try and get a couple of bourbons that really go well together, that can make something pretty spectacular. If you try and blend 5 different things together, you kind of get toward average. But then on these finishes, we have found that blending a couple of 3, and we like 3 in the finishes, you just get something really, really unique. And I don't think anybody has blended these port finishes together ever before. And so we believe it's the first time, and we didn't intend it when we threw it in the cask, right? We've got all kinds of things that are finishing, and then as it kind of goes along, we pull things that we like, and when something really kind of works the way we like it, that's when we think about it as a product.
It's really unique.
Very unique. I was really excited to see this because one of my favorite, as everybody knows, when watching our show with me, I'm not traditionally a huge fan of different cask finishes, but one of my favorite cask finishes on the flip side of that is port finish.
Okay.
And I was really excited to see the 3 different types of any kind of these port finishes with this because I was really intrigued. I was like, man, I was like, port finish is one of my favorite finishes, and then I'm seeing the other two blended in with it, and yeah, like it's very unique, but I like it in a sense because it to me it finishes hotter than a 105. Like I'm looking kind of because you talked about those baking spices to kind of mellow it out a little bit or kind of blend with that sweetness of it, but to me it it kind of more like a 110, 112 on the back end of it for me, which I like. Like I like it a little bit. I'm a big proponent of the foolproof, barrel proof stuff. Like anyway, but I think it's really good, honestly. Like I think it's like you talked about. You get that fruitiness on the front, the spice on the back. It kind of really balances each other out really well. I like
Well,
it.
it's definitely different because you're not expecting maybe that switch in flavors as it goes down, and that's what I love with what you guys do is you guys find unique flavors, but like you said, the base core product is also just good bourbon too, and you know you talked about like you got a whole bunch of things kind of like in your um, I don't know, mad warehouse.
Cabinet. Yeah.
Yeah, like you got so many things you can pull from. So did you have just these three sitting for different things and then they came together, or were you just like, I wonder what would happen if we did 1, 2, and 3?
Typically we've got a bunch of different barrels aging or a bunch of different finishing casks aging at the same time. And like what we've done for triple cask 1 and 2 is you just pull some of those and you pull all of them and you're testing different cask blends. So we'll have like for this one, I think I had 12 different casks that we were working with, 12 different finishes of similar product, and it's just kind of dialing it into a few that you like with each other. So I guess it was never intentionally three ports. We didn't, sit down and say, hey, we're going to finish in these three different port casks and bottle that. It was more just a discovery post finishing.
Yeah.
I'd say that's kind of typical of what we do, right? We're not trying to. We don't head somewhere first and try and let the whiskeys, try and push them to take us there. We really just kind of go where we think they want to go. And that is our strategy with 15 Stars. Kind of artisanship and excellence is what we're after with 15 Stars. And you don't get that trying to push somewhere. You get that trying to figure out what those base components have. What do they have to give? And then how do you bring it together in a way that it gives even more than that?
We're just the stewards that guide the whiskey to where it wants to be.
Yeah.
You're the whiskey Sherpas.
Yeah. So how long for each barrel did you let it sit for each port barrel?
Yeah, these were 10 months.
Okay, for each one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We put all of these. So we have a bunch of different barrels, of different ages of finishing barrels, but these ones were actually all three put into the barrel at the same time.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's probably, I guess our averages are in there right now around a couple years. The star of our show, right? Probably the most award-winning whiskey we've put out is the sherry cask that we did, and that was actually in those finishing barrels for like 6.5 to 7 years, and so kind of an amazing thing that it was really an awesome thing. So sometimes you can leave it too long, and in fact, we think in that case it got left too long. And somebody else decided that because we had the chance to acquire them. And it really was what we called sherry concentrate. It was almost undrinkable. What proof was it, Ricky? Do you remember?
142.
Yeah, 142 proof, super concentrated, almost unbelievable. And we had to back it off. So it was a 13-year-old Kentucky bourbon. We backed off with a 10-year-old. And, it was it's probably the most awarded bourbon around the last couple of years. Just amazing what it
But One of the cool things about you know how you are asking what ages the barrels were in our triple cast two especially. We, like I said, we have a bunch of different ages of casks being finished right now, and it lets you, you know, play with different concentrations of that finishing flavor. So some of our product has only been in the barrels for 6 months, and that's a lighter finish. And we have some finishes that are at like 2.5 years, and would be a heavy finish. So you get to play with either the strong or light flavors of different finishes. It creates a lot of different dynamics when blending. And like for the triple cast two, the cognac or sorry, there is no cognac in that one.
No, there's cognac and triple cast too.
No,
Yep.
there is cognac.
Yep.
Sorry, I was thinking there was no port in triple cast two. The cognac in triple cast two was 2.3 years old and was really strong. And so we didn't include as many barrels of that, but it provided a really nice flavor.
Well, and we'll be tasting that one here in a little bit. But you guys talk about this, and what I was trying to think of earlier was mad scientists, or maybe happy scientists, because you guys are getting to do some fun things with bourbon. What's it like getting creative with these blends? Because like you said, you guys don't set out to intentionally go, we're going to do A, B, and C and blend them together and see what happens. Or force it to happen. You're going, let's see what A and B do, let's see what A, B, C do, and so forth. So what's it like getting creative and just seeing where, as you said, the Bourbon Sherpa, the guide takes you?
It makes it easier. If we were trying to force it into a corner, we wouldn't have much success. So it's just about finding the route that they want to go. And I guess for us, that's, trying all the possible outcomes, not leaving a stone unturned and finding the blend percentages that we like and focusing in there until we get really specific and find a final blend we like. So, yeah, it's really just about exploring all the different options when blending.
Yeah, and we ought to talk about proof a little bit. Brandon, I know you said you're a cast proof guy, but honestly, we trademarked the term that we call flavor proofing. And so that's really back to, it's kind of an integral part of the blending that we do. We also are looking for that proof where we think flavor comes through the best. And as if you put one on a rock, right, and you just kind of watch it through its journey, that's a lot of fun because you get a lot of different flavors kind of come through in that. And so we're trying to also balance the blends, right, of the whiskeys at first. We're trying to balance the blends of those finishing barrels, and then we're trying to balance that proof. And on the proof side, we think too much alcohol can at times interfere with the flavors that really come through. And then you can also you get it washed down to where it's light. You lose that viscosity, you lose that mouthfeel. Your flavor gets it feels like it's just not full anymore, right? And so we're trying to find that spot where you still have that mouthfeel you like. You still feel like you got a great drink that's really full, but where the alcohol is inhibiting the flavor the less.
Yeah.
So we're trying to find that spot, and that's kind of a hallmark of 15 stars as well.
Yeah.
And those are ranged from as low as
Yeah.
98 to as high as 115 for us.
And I love that. And that's one thing I really liked about this one is that to me, it drank a little bit spicier than the 105. And even for somebody that wanted to put this in put it on a cube, put it in an old fashioned or something, like, I think it would be just fantastic. Because even if somebody who doesn't like it, say, is spicier as as high as a 115 or whatever, like that can bring it down a little bit for them. But again, somebody may drink this and just be like, man, this drink's like a 90. But for me, I think it's right. It's really good. It's got a lot of flavor to it.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, and y'all are, like you were talking about, this is, you got the three finishes, but, it's a 15 and a 9 year age statement on it. Some of the other ones we're going to do 11 year, 13 year, um, 16 and 8 on the triple cast too. How are you all able to not only source the finishing barrels, but some pretty damn good bourbon in general, and build up those stocks and be able to kind of have some fun? How are you able to do that?
Well, probably takes three things: time, friends, and money. And I mean, just to be honest, I mean they don't come cheap, right? I mean, so you do have to be able to and willing to pony up, which is not easy sometimes, right? You say, so somebody brings you something really special. You made your friend, right? You spent the time. You got it sitting in front of you, and you say, "We've all done it. We all do it all the time, right?" We say, "It's how much?" And you have to I learned that in a collecting business. I'm a little bit into a specific area of art collecting, and there's a thing, that when the great thing shows up, you kind of have to be willing to just go for it. And so that's what we've done when if it's moderate, if we're not sold on it, obviously we're not sold, we're not doing it. But even if it's kind of moderate, we may let it pass. But boy, when we're sold on something that we think really is a great whiskey that we can do a lot with, we're willing to kind of double down on it. And so we've got a great inventory all the way up and down the spectrum. 20-year-old is our oldest. We got a pretty good stock of that. So 20-year-old down to, I think we made some 3 weeks ago, distilled. And so, but in that 10 to 20-year-old segment, and we think anything really, I guess, high age and what we're using for here is mostly between 8 and what's the highest we've got? We got 19, I guess, in your time list that you got. So you're going to be tasting whiskeys that are blends between 8 and 19 years old, and
19 in the platinum.
yeah, and platinum, yeah. So yeah, we love old whiskey. We think it does some beautiful things. We love it when the early graininess kind of falls out of it, right? And those barrel flavors become rich, and it. We don't also tend. I think we'll go through these tonight. We don't think we do stray away from over oakiness in what we're doing, so we're not trying to be over oaky. But we've been able to find some really high age stuff that didn't happen to all sit on those top floors, that still got a ton of rich flavor in it.
Well, and I'm excited to kind of keep going down the path, and we got 4 pours, so we might as well get to number 2.
Yeah.
And that's another one that you didn't set out maybe on 3 ports, maybe on 3 Kings you did, but this is a unique blend of bourbon, rye, and wheat whiskeys. That's right, you heard me say that right. Bourbon, rye, and wheat whiskeys. 3 Kings coming in at 107 proof, and it's let's see, looking on the back, 15 and 11 years old, distilled in Kentucky and Indiana. So got a lot going on here.
Yeah, to say the least. The Three Kings, a product we're really proud of, our most recent release, and as you said, a really unique product. So the only product to ever blend those 3 types of American whiskey together, the rye, bourbon, and wheat whiskeys. So the blend is an 11-year-old of each of those, as well as a 15-year-old bourbon. So 2 different bourbons, and then an 11-year rye, 11-year-old wheat whiskey. And so
finding an 11-year-old wheat whiskey, I
well,
like that. Yeah.
the thing about that is that's why we won't get to make anymore. It's gone. It was hard to find. We found it once, and we have yet to find it again. So
Yeah.
as of now, this is all that will ever exist of it. But a really awesome product, and something that we think is a testament to what is possible with blending, and a testament to our blending skills. We think that I can tell you for a fact this was not an easy product to blend. I would say it was the most difficult one so far. And the bourbon and rye tended to agree with each other pretty well. Or sorry, the bourbon and wheat whiskey. But the rye created some issues, finding its place in there. But, something I think is funny is bourbon isn't always logical and blending isn't always logical. And I was thinking, okay, there's this spicy finish on the end, and it's because of the rye. It's that rye spice just lingering around on the finish and cutting it short. And I kept lowering the rye percentage, a little lower, little lower, little lower, and couldn't figure out how to get that, short, spicy finish off of it. And I just said, you know what, I don't really have another choice. Let's just try it at a higher percentage. Raise it above where I started in the percentage blend, and gone. The finish is great. It blended in nicely. So, uh, who would have thought that adding more of the rye cut out the issue I was having with the rye? But it's the way it goes sometimes.
See, happy scientist or mad scientist, whichever you prefer.
Yeah, probably mad then.
So
But
that one's another first, right? Never been blended before. Those a wheat whiskey, a rye whiskey, and a bourbon, and we think it's fantastic. It's again from an award standpoint, what did it win? Best American whiskey at the Barleycorn Awards in December of just this past December. So best American whiskey, and then at the World Whiskey Awards in Louisville in February, best American blended whiskey. So it started to kind of win its slew of awards. So really special. Really rich, really deep, really different, right? I mean, still, it's not a bourbon, right? It's a whiskey with that rye in there and the wheat whiskey. And there were the interesting mash bills on that. So 95.5 wheat whiskey, 95% wheat, 5% malted barley, 95.5 rye, and one of the bourbons a 99.1 bourbon, and then a traditional bourbon. So, the mash bills that bring those grains to the forefront.
I need to meet your friends.
Yeah.
A
Same.
99.1. Wow.
Same.
All right.
Same. Yeah,
Yeah.
we can be friends.
We like that 99.1 enough that, and we do this. We believe in blending 100%. We're just all over it, and so different than a lot of even big distilleries that may distill a couple of mash bills. We're distilling over a dozen mash bills every year, and that 99.1 we really like, and so we distill that in Bardstown every year as well, just to kind of keep a supply of that. And so when we find a whiskey we really love and work with, we start making it.
This one's unique. Again,
That's a
two
ton of
in a row.
flavor. Ton of flavor for me. I get that. It's just got that juicy mouthfeel to me. Like it doesn't. It just has so much flavor and different complexities throughout. But it's just like it got that juicy feel, like in that mouth, the mouthfeel of it. Where it doesn't, some pours, they kind of like, dry you out, whatever it is. But this is just, I don't know, it's just juicy. It wants me wanting more. But
And I feel like
well done.
if you blinded some, did a blind pour with someone with this, they'd have no clue what they were getting.
No,
They'd be so far off because as Ricky, the mad scientist figured out, once he got the blend right, it played nice, and it's, you got the softness of the wheat, a little bit of the spiciness, that bourbon, the traditional bourbon flavors are in there. Like it's I think back to Brandon, we did this as one of the, do you take it to the tailgate or the bottle share? And I think at the end of the day we said bottle share just because it is so unique that I don't know if every average Joe's going to love it, on the first pour at a tailgate. But man, at the bottle share, they're going to be like, "What the hell is this?" And it's a fun ride.
It was
100%.
Kentucky Bourbon Festival, but we had this. We'd released it not too far before that, and had it there and sold every bottle we had. I mean, it was a star. As people tasted it through the lineup, and it's so unique, right, and so interesting. that everybody going through there said, I'll take one. I'll take one.
Yeah. And you kind of how you guys were talking about it. The goal with all of our blends is to find balance. And so with this product, the goal is not to have the bourbon shine, the wheat whiskey shine, or the rye shine. It's to have all of them kind of poke their heads out, but not be overwhelming. And that's really been our goal with all of our products. Our cast finishes, you can find that it's tough to find. There will be a finish that shows itself on the palate or a finish that shows itself on the nose, but they're not. It's not just ever present that finish, and that's really our goal is to create nuanced and balanced blends.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are doing some fantastic stuff. We've been fans for a while, but just talk to us a little bit. Like, how is it, father son? Working together, doing what you guys obviously are passionate about. And where do you guys want this? I guess not going to say legacy top, but where do you want it to end up in the grand scheme of things? Because obviously in the bourbon world, there's some pretty famous father-son duos out there, but just talk about working together and where do you guys envision this ending up? One day, and what your all's major goals are for that.
We started off with the major goal is just to make great whiskey. And that really is, it really is the goal. And I can remember very early on, we had a couple of friends over, good business folks, and they said, kind of what's the plan? What's the exit plan? I said, we never really thought about that. We're just trying to make great whiskey. Yeah. And that really is what 15 Stars is about. And we've been lucky to work together as a family, father, son. My daughter works in our popcorn business where we're getting some of these really unique grains. Yeah. And so, to work together as a family. My wife, Ricky's mom, runs what we call our blending facility, which is our kitchen. So, when we do the blending, right, it really is done in our kitchen. And so we pull samples from the barrels, we get them in there, and there are sample bottles everywhere, and test tubes, and the proofer, and glasses, and it's a little bit of a mess.
And she approves of all that?
Pardon?
And she approves of all that? Because my wife does not allow that many bottles in the kitchen.
If it was me, no. But Ricky, yep.
I get a little leniency. I will say she's not going to be super happy when you guys get back from Florida, but
John, she only allows it if it's her wine bottles. That's it.
No, that's true.
But yeah.
Yes.
No,
So
that's cool.
Yeah, we're lucky to do it. To work as a family is a lucky thing, and we're who knows where it ends up going, right? We've got to do something that fits us. And I think that's the key, right? We're not trying to let somebody else define our success. So we want to make great bourbon, and we want a business that fits us. And, pleasure. I worked with my dad in some business ventures before, so I'm lucky to do that. And lucky to have our family working together today. So I don't know, Richard, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, what I was going to say is it makes a lot of things easier, especially blending. One thing that we like to talk about is how we have a similar, what we call a flavor memory. And so all the bourbons that we've tried, we typically try together. And so we have kind of the same memory of the flavors and types of bourbons, types of whiskeys. And so we approach blending similarly to where we're very agreeable in our blending down to very small differences. We're not fighting over, I like this whiskey as a majority versus I like the other whiskey as a majority. No, if we're fighting, it's over 2 proof or a percentage of a whiskey here or there. It's really just when it gets down to the nitty gritty. So we have similar palates that helps us come to conclusions, I think, a bit better.
Yeah, I really think it's an advantage too. I think it's an advantage we have in blending. I think it helps us make better whiskey, and that I mean, honestly, it is done in our kitchen, and so it's a place we don't mind spending a little time. We're not trying to get out quick, and it's not a corporate job. It is a family. So bourbon takes time, and there are no shortcuts. And so it's from the time in that barrel to the time you're putting it together. And putting together a blend, we don't get together and spend an hour or two and come out with a blend. It happens over weeks, and you only take it so far, and then you kind of got to go away and come back. And even when you have it, and you think you have it, we go away and we come back at it at a couple of different times in a couple of different atmospheres, and it helps you refine it. And then when we kind of go through and create flavor notes, we go away from it a while, and we actually just call each other up on the phone and kind of walk through. We make up our notes ahead of time, and then we kind of call each other, get the pour out, walk through those notes. So I mean, it's what bourbon's for, isn't it? Is for bringing families and friends together, and that's its biggest value. And so it works on the making it side too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And it sounds like you guys are you started out doing it with for me, what I think would be the right approach to it. You guys are like, well, we don't really care about anything else. We just want to make good bourbon, good juice, good whiskey, enjoyable, do it together. And I assume that is that how you guys ended up on doing bourbon? Because you mentioned that you used to blend with your dad, Rick. Is this something that you decided to do and pass down, to Ricky? We work together, blend bourbon, and make some good juice together. Is that how you all decided on bourbon?
Our work together with my dad was in a convenience store business. We built a convenience store chain from 0 to a couple of hundred stores.
Yeah.
And, but with Ricky, you want to talk a little bit about how we got into it? It was a little bit by accident.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's even better.
I've been working with my family in summers while I was back from school in high school and moving into college for a company we have called Black Jewel Popcorn. Sells specialty heirloom colored corns and ready-to-eat microwave and kernels. But as for the colored corns, what it's named after is a black colored corn. And then there's also different red, white, and blue colored corns that we own and include in the products. And one summer, I think it was between my sophomore and junior year at college, my dad asked me if I wanted to see if we could turn those corns into bourbon. So, of course, I said sure. Yes.
That's a good dad right there. That's a good
Yeah.
dad.
100%.
Yeah.
He was going on 21.
But I was a business student at the time, so the goal was for me to create a business plan around it, and it wasn't necessarily meant to be something that we went forward with. It was more just something for me to do for a summer, a project for me. But apparently my business plan was compelling enough because at the end of the summer, we started distilling with Bardstown Bourbon Company. Yeah, we contacted them earlier in the middle of the summer, and they were excited about the project. They hadn't done any colored corn distilling before. Obviously, they're a very young distillery. They're like 3 years in when we first contacted them, so even younger then. So they thought it was something really exciting, and obviously we did as well, so partnered with them and couldn't be happier.
Well, and I love, so first year at Bourbon Fest for us, Brandon and I were there, and Bardstown's distiller, Steve McNally, is there, and he's talking about, he didn't know that I knew at the time. He was talking about y'all. He's like, man, we had these one guys that came in and were distilling all these special, corn varieties, and it had that place smelling like popcorn, and like, and he was talking about that, and also I believe the color of all those in the mash shows up too.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, so like, what's it like working with him, who's a legend in the game, and being able to bring the popcorn business into the bourbon business?
Yeah. Well, I mean that honestly, that whole team at Bardstown Bourbon Company has been awesome to work with, and on the distilling side, we've got an awesome team there as well. And we didn't know. Of course, the leadership has changed a little bit. Some of those guys are down the road a little bit right now, right? At Whiskey House, but both doing good. But from the day we walked in there, and it was the Dave Mandel and John and the team there when we first walked in. But we felt welcome there in every way, from everybody who's we've worked with, and that goes to today. And so, we can bring our corns down there. They'll create whatever mash we want out of our grains. They'll help us in every way putting it together. And so I don't ever see. We don't really have a plan to build a distillery, because I mean we'd be doing what we're doing there right now. It wouldn't be any different, and we got a team that is off the charts good. So I mean, all those guys, they're pros, and more than anything else, and this business is full of this, and you guys know it. It's just really good, solid people, right? That you can count on their word every day. They're welcoming, they're friendly, they're helpful. I mean, it's this industry is full of a lot of really, really great people and fun to work with, and I love that.
I just love Steve talking about popcorn smell in a distillery. He was like
Well,
shocked.
he talks about some cherry staves and some barrels and some. I mean, they're testing and trying a lot of stuff down there, and they have loved working with these corns as well.
That's
cool.
Ricky,
I mean, that's a hell of a business plan, man. I mean, did you at least get an A on the project, right? Hopefully.
I think an A+ since we're 6 years down the road and doing it.
Yeah, we haven't released any of those corns yet, those special corns. So 5.5 years old is the oldest right now, going on 6. We like mature bourbon, right? Most people that would start distilling, you might be putting something, out at 2 years or, but certainly at 4 years. But no, we're just kind of holding on them, letting them go, and we'll look forward to it. We will be putting some of our red, white, and blue. So a little heads up, a little of our red, white, and blue corns that we actually mash together. So it's a rye, with a rye flavoring grain, but red, white, and blue popcorns. About 18% rye, I think, in the blend as well, and about 12% malted barley. So we've got and we only put that in a barrel at 103 proof. So low barrel entry makes it is just a luscious thing, but we're putting it in a new bourbon that we're going to release in July. So you'll be able to taste that in a blend of 5, 6, and 7-year-old bourbons.
See, you're jumping ahead of me. So
Yeah.
we got questions on that here.
All
In a
right,
second.
all right.
I'm just kidding. So pour number 3. Ricky mentioned this one, trying to figure out what was in it. The Triple Cask 2.
I was jumping ahead of you again.
You did. You see, both of you. It's like you don't know. No, I'm just kidding. I love it because you guys are doing such cool things. Triple Cask 2, Triple Cask 1. Brandon and I loved. Brandon, I don't think either of us actually opened this until this episode, so our bad. So we're excited to give this one a true try with cognac, rum, and apple brandy cask on the finish of Triple Cask 2 because we loved Triple Cask 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this one, like I said, is the result of a lot of experimentation with a lot of different finishes. You have 2 different ages of cognac finishes. I forgot about this actually. I said the one was 2.3. The other barrel in there is 1.8 years old. So both fairly aged, very, very strong. The rum, there's 2 different ages of. I believe there were 3 barrels of a 2.3-year-old rum finish, and then the rest of 2 barrels of that, and 3 barrels of a 8-month finish, and then the apple brandy all 8-month finish. So there's a wide array of stuff there, and a lot of flavors you're working with. This product is aged 8 and 16 years, um, and really is a great finish. I think it exemplifies all of those finishes. The one thing I love about the triple casks is people always try and guess what or say what finish they get on the nose, palate, or finish, and they're always different. Every single time someone says it's typically backwards to what the person before said, and the cool thing about it is they're all right. There's no right answer, uh, but
This
that's
nose is fantastic.
Yeah.
yeah, very
Yeah.
fruit forward
Very.
nose.
And the fact that you were talking about it. So Brandon and I have had, doing this, we obviously get the benefit of trying a lot of different things. Brandon, I think about what he was talking about on the rum finishes. We've had a bunch that maybe were 3 months, 8 months, a 2+ year. That's impressive. Like, I mean, but to be able to play around with it enough to mix in and kind of have some different things like that.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
there's a reason all the finishes aren't 2+ years.
Yeah.
Not always exactly what you want. But that's the thing is, with blending, is a product doesn't have to be, whereas blending versus not blending, if you're not blending, the product has to be exactly what you want it to be. With blending, it doesn't need to be 100% perfect. You can kind of cherry pick flavors that you like, keep those in, and blend other flavors out. And that's where the balancing comes into play. It's all a balancing act of keeping the flavors you want and trying to get rid of the flavors you don't. And when I say that, I don't mean to say there were any horrible flavors in any of the products, but it's a strong rum finish, just like the cognac's a strong cognac finish. And on their own, you probably would think it was strong, but when you kind of dial it back a little bit with other things, it creates a very nice essence of whatever that finish is.
I think of this one as a really elegant. It's 103 proof, and so it's a really elegant kind of a finish on this. So it's not a harsh. Our Triple Cast one was a meteor kind of finish. I mean, it was maybe more of a cigar blend type of a finish. It was heavier in a lot of ways. This is light and elegant and fruity and smooth and sweet. It's really nice, and a lot of people really like that. And they left Triple Cast 1 too, which was rich and bold, and they're just different things, they're different things.
Brandon, so I get I want to see what you get on this, because you know me, I don't ever really say a lot of what I like. I got a specific one on this one on the nose. It's Green Apple Jolly Rancher for me. What's yours?
You literally want to know what I was going to say?
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. It's
Maybe.
like you take a cherry Jolly Rancher and mix it with the green apple Jolly Rancher, and that's what this smell is. Like, it's like if you put them together and they had a love child of a smell. That's just what this is. Like, literally. Like, that's what I was thinking the whole time. I was like, because I got the green apple right away. Then I was like, I kept doing it, nosing it, tasting it. And I was getting some cherry notes in there, and I was like, man, this is.
But to y'all's point, like, the nose is one thing. The flavor of those three different finishes, the cognac, the rum, and the apple brandy, is not the nose what I was expecting. You go, oh, very, very, very fruity. It's not very fruity. It's fruit forward, but not very fruity.
I would say, going off what you were saying, is the palate is softer than you would expect. It's not as punchy with that flavor as the nose would make you think. All those flavors are there, but they're I don't even know how I would explain that. They're just lighter. They're kind of cut over with this little seasoned oak undertone that
But there's still like some flavor punches. Like I get a little bit of that rum, and I get a little bit of that. Also,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to hide this from my wife because she loved Triple Cask 1, and I'm pretty sure that's why it disappeared really quickly.
Yeah.
This one's just gonna have to be hidden somewhere in the house.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, I don't have that many hiding spots.
Yeah. Well, this is like you guys nailed it on this one, and you were exactly right with the cast, the triple cast one. It was like that, like you said, it was that just hearty campfire cigar type whiskey. But this is just light, like you said, fruity, smooth. It's got just enough heat on the proof to give it that, that balance to cut through some of that sweetness a little bit.
Yeah.
But man, this is
Yeah,
I
I've
don't-
loved
I'd
the
almost-
finish in my throat, right? It's just you
Yeah.
got sweetness and you got fruit and you got
Yeah.
some oak and it's
Yeah.
just a wonderful combination. Just breathing
Yeah.
in and out feels
Yeah.
good.
correct.
Well-
Yeah, and you get
well,
that sweetness on the back end for me because it's
Yeah.
on the front, the middle. You kind of get that. Okay, this has got a little punch to it. It's like that 103. But on the back end, it's just super smooth. That sweetness of the apple, oak, cherry, whatever you want. But
Well, and if
Really
Triple
good.
Cask 1 is, say your fall pour, Triple Cask 2 is your spring summer pour. Because, like, I mean, to me,
Yeah.
this is a perfect way, nice weather, sit out there. Because
Good way to
to y'all's
think about
point,
it.
to y'all's point, like, those flavors, they're not like, whoa, like, blowing, but they're there and they're soft and they're. Golf
Yeah.
clap.
yes,
That's all I got.
yeah, it's really good, really, really good. I'm highly impressed.
We're gonna make you like finishes.
Oh yeah,
Well, and to me, as we're talking about it. You did the 3 ports, you did 3 kings, which I know wasn't finishes, but that's 3 unique,
It's a
3
different.
whiskeys, and we'll finish up with more of just a pure, as Brandon likes to say, a fastball, number 1 old fastball. But what have y'all learned with blending over time? Because overseas in Europe, Scotland, England, blending's normal over there. Over here, you all, Barrel, and some others have really kind of brought it to the forefront of what you can do with bourbon. So what have y'all learned over time?
I think it's kind of what I said earlier that you can really pull the flavors you want, and if there's you can. Hard to explain the way I want to, but yeah, you can cherry pick your favorite flavors and create really unique things that other people wouldn't necessarily dare to do. Like that sherry cask, for example, that my dad said. Nobody else, the reason we could buy that and could get a hold of that, which it was a 13-year-old bourbon that had been finished in sherry cask for 7 years, everyone's terrified of it. We're not, because we know what we can do with blending. And that's what we continue to find out. We did that, and then we did the 3 Kings, and it's just, again and again discovering that you can create some really unique things with some unique flavors that would not necessarily upon first sip be something that people would think you put in a product.
Well, and it's something that allowed us on our first bourbon, which was this. We're going to have its sister tonight, but a 14-year-old Timeless Reserve, first bourbon we put out in 2022, was one of 3 finalists at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition, and we kind of went, whoa, how did that happen? And it's a blend of 14 and 15-year-old, two Kentucky bourbons that are very different, but that blended together really uniquely. And then we went on the next New York competition. We smoked a set of awards with best rye whiskey, best of show whiskey, best bourbon, best finished bourbon, and we started winning these best ofs like we just talked about with the 3 Kings, and so really blending gave us that opportunity, right? Without blending, we couldn't have done that, and it goes back to us when we first thought we were coming out. We had a 15-year label, and we were just going to put a 15-year-old bourbon in a bottle and sell it, and then we were kind of into this whole blending thought, and then we said, wait a minute, we can get a better flavor, and it was the same 15 that was in this 14 and 15, and we can improve that flavor. And so from our very first release, we kind of backed away. We threw away our old labels, and we said, hey, we're just going to do whatever we have to do to make the very best whiskey we can make. And honestly, for us, it's like, and so we were lucky in some ways not to have a great inventory of all one thing, because we'd have probably just fallen into the trap and put it in a bottle and it would be good, right? I mean, it's good, but by sourcing really high aged bourbons, taking our time, putting best bourbon that we can make at the top has allowed us to kind of make a spot in the market that's unique for us. And honestly, we've kind of gone back and said, okay, how did we start winning best of awards? And we have a 5-page list of what we kind of deconstructed our process and said, here's the blending process. We didn't think it up and go do it. We started making best whiskeys, and then we go backward to say, okay, what did you do? How did you get there? And so that's kind of what we do. And when we're blending, we don't say, hey, we think we need a little more of this flavor, or we need a little more of that flavor. We don't do that. We go and say, and we just go strictly by taste. And then we break it out and say, okay, what is it that made that taste better? What are the flavors that we're pulling out of that? So we trust our own palate to kind of balance those things out, and then we kind of reverse engineer what the hell happened that got it there.
It's a formula that's working.
Yeah,
It's working well.
Very much so.
And let's you talk about that first release. We'll finish it up on a timeless reserve, timeless one, a timeless reserve 13, which is coming in at 103 proof. So what can you tell us a little bit about this? And we've been doing all these funky finishes or weird blends. Now we go to just the classic.
Back to the basics. So the 13-year-old, you said 103 proof. It's a blend of 13 and 15-year-old Kentucky bourbons. So the goal with the timeless reserves is to be that aged bourbon profile at a very drinkable and enjoyable proof. And this product, I think, is kind of exemplary of that. You'll find it kind of has a nutty flavor to it. I kind of think nutty, caramel, maple as well, but just kind of those more standard bourbon notes rather than, the very fruity things. If there is fruit in it, I kind of think apple and dried banana, but more, oaky, nutty, tobacco, like notes.
More of, like I said, what Brandon would call the old number one heater right down the middle.
Yep.
You guys aren't throwing a curveball, a slider. Baseball season's, hey, MLB's about ready to start up here, so we can get into all those puns. This one's truly just more of a straightforward release for y'all.
Yeah, and I mean, so the lineup we've tried tonight is very much an array of different things. I would say, majority of half of our lineup is, had to backtrack, there are these just straight bourbon blends. It's something that we are very familiar with, very well with, and still, even, it doesn't take a wild finish or a different type of whiskey to create a unique profile in a blend. There's a lot of different bourbon profiles that we have in our inventory that have created for us a variety of very different straight bourbon blends. It's really neat to see, and even our products that use the exact same bourbons are, our second product we released is our 7 and 15-year-old private stock. The second edition of that, or the second batch, was an 8 and 15-year-old private stock. Those do not taste the same at all. The way I explain it, they're cousins in a way, but all of those ripe fruit notes that were in the 7 and 15 turned to dried fruit notes. Is the simple way. So very different things. There's just a ton, as you guys know, with different products from other producers and such. There's such a variety of flavor to be had just with bourbon.
Yeah, that extra year makes a big difference, or however. But as we keep talking about the base product, which is what kind of this old number one, you guys are still picking out good bourbon and bourbons, whiskeys, however you want to define it.
That's a number one, and honestly, I like the order you kind of place these in, because a lot of times we start with just the straight bourbon first, and then kind of move through, to finishes, something that's got a little more in the mouth. But really ending on this, I'm loving this thing. I really, and I probably lean, I love all the finishes. I love the different things we do. But honestly, I kind of lean into a well-made classic bourbon is probably still my favorite.
Yep.
Brandon over there, yeah.
With me. Yeah, classic old number one fastball. Right down the middle, man. That's what I love.
So, Brandon, so what are you getting on this one? Timeless Reserve,
Well, when I first poured it in the glass, nosed it, I just got nothing but heat. But obviously, give it a little bit of oxygen, let it breathe a little bit, and I'm getting all those just classic, just straight bourbon smells. That caramel, a little bit of oak, some cherry, a little bit of orange peel in there for me. But I'm not trying to get too hoity-toity with it. But that's just what you get. It is what it is. But it's super smooth. Like, I get just a touch for me. The heat for me comes just probably almost on the back end, but might be that middle third. And then it just finishes just super smooth. Little touch of sweetness, not much, but it just mellows everything out. And it's fantastic. Like, it's just exactly what you want in a 13-year-old, 100 proof, 103 proof, just straight bourbon. You just can't. There's nothing better. Honestly, it just is. And that's what I talk about. We've had a ton of finishes, with you guys and some other folks, and so sometimes those finishes and blends, and those different cask finishes, they can get away from you if you're not careful. And you guys know that better than anybody. But just the classic old, just straight up classic bourbon is. And you guys have done it well. This is fantastic. It's really good.
We love it. Blend 13 and 15 years old, but still not gone into any over oakiness at all. Still got the beauty of the oak, but not overdone.
Yeah. And you do get a little hint of the oak coming through almost toward the back end, but
you want it.
You want it, but it's just subtle enough that it's there. It's there. And then it finishes with that super silky smooth that you would get from that 13-year-old, right? If this was anything less, if it was 7 or 8 years, and then all right, it might not be as enjoyable. But this, right, you can tell that it's got that maturity on it. So, well done. Thank you.
Take that review.
Well, and I love it too, because I don't. For me, Brandon and I talk about this a lot. We have a sweet spot with the proofs. You guys are kind of right now. Honestly, if I'm being completely honest, I don't know. I think we have the same palates. Good Lord. I don't know if I've ever not liked a single thing you guys have put out. But beyond that, what you're talking about with that 13, the 15-year-old, I don't love super oaky, the things that start to get into leather. I don't know who... Props to you if you like it, but I don't know who enjoys chewing on leather. Props to you if you do. But, these ones don't, like you said, they don't have those harsher, to me, what are harsher notes or flavor, those funky flavors. But they're there, like you said, they're subtle. They give that the blending rounds out everything. And I think at the end of the day, that is the best way to put it. The blending rounds it out.
Yeah, I think it
Very
does.
well.
We're trying to make bottles that kind of stand up to those, something you'd want to pull out at a special occasion, right? Something that you'd say, okay, well done. We had a good success here. Let's gather the guys together, or gather the family together. Let's pour one. Let's lean back. Let's enjoy this a little bit.
I mean, you just can't go wrong with this. Like, it literally, like, it's just, I just don't know how else to describe it. Like, if you want, everybody seeks that, just the aged bourbon, 10 years or above. But if you want my perfect sweet spot, is in between that 12 to 15, 16 years for me. Of course, there's some folks out there that do 17, 18, 19, 20 years. They do it well. But for me, that's just kind of my sweet spot. But this right here is awesome. Like, you're not going to find, I would put it up against anything older. I would. But just because it's just that, it's flavorful. It doesn't leave the mouth dry. It leaves you kind of that juicy mouthfeel for me. Like, I love it. It's awesome.
Well, and kind of what I was getting to before, my thought, it's just so good. My thought went to the side.
Right.
Was I don't normally love the older stuff, is kind of what I was getting at. And it's because it becomes so oaky or so leathery or whatever. But at the end of the day, these ones are just so well done. And, say you may not like one or the other, you guys produce so many unique blends that I feel like at the end of the day, someone should find something in what you do, right?
For
I think what we appreciate most is, well, kind of like tonight. You've had a chance to go through 4 of them, right? And if we walk into tastings and we go through 4 or 5, typically is what we do, and what we really appreciate is that what we've tried to do is produce things that they're going to be different. Everybody's going to have a favorite, and it's probably a different favorite, but you're going to taste through some things that we're all using great products. Started with a wonderful base product, blended well, put together with some balance. That's bringing something special to the table, and everybody will pick a favorite out of that, but hopefully they're all bringing something really unique and special.
Yeah. No, 100%. This is dangerous. Literally. Like, it's that good to me. Like, I just, Kool-Aid, honestly.
That's
So-
right.
Brandon, do you want to ask about the thing that could harm a table if they're not careful?
I do have a really good question, because I remember when we first started, trying some of your guys' stuff. I remember popping the cork off of one, and I know that my arm kind of almost tore a socket out, with getting that cork out, because how heavy it is. I was just wondering, like, where did that come from to make that thing so? I mean, it's almost a weapon. You could use that cork out there. So I was just curious to where that, like, I love it. I think it's awesome because it's so unique, but it's just like I was just totally taken back by it. So now every time we pop a cork on it, I'm just like, man, like, it's
Protect
like
the
a shot
kitchen
put.
table.
It's like a shot put, right? This should be Olympic Games in that. But yeah, it's really cool.
And we just thought we ought to do something special, right? That kind
Like,
of,
you did it.
we don't want to we don't take shortcuts in what we do, and we just
No.
don't think that's the way to do it. And we wanted to not take a shortcut on the stopper. We could have thrown a 35-cent stopper on there, and it'd have probably
it.
sold. We probably just sold just as many bottles, but we wanted to do something special, and that is a 1795 silver dollar. $50 was the same, but the very first U.S. coinage had 15 stars on the coins, and that is, a rendition of the one of the very first coins ever minted by the U.S. Mint when George Washington is president, and 15 stars celebrating Kentucky is the 15th state. And so we just thought that was a nice way to kind of let people know about our name. 15 stars is about Kentucky being the 15th state and the rich history of craftsmanship and artisanship in many areas, but particularly bourbon, right? That just a long history of some really great things. This was a crafted item by a guy who carved that image, and we've got a collection of things on our website that are Kentucky or 15 stars related, American, that kind of capture that spirit of craftsmanship that really has been going on since this 1795 coin. And I mean, that was a long time ago, and everybody thinks Kentucky was just was probably all Coonskin caps, but Lexington, Kentucky, where you guys have a base, right, is one of the places that in 1795 there was some really cool stuff going on there. Some special silver making, some special furniture making, some special gun making. We just bought a really cool Kentucky long rifle built in Versailles, just right outside Lexington. So that craftsmanship has been something, and artisanship has been something that's been strong in Kentucky for a long, long time, and we want our bourbons to kind of stand up to this kind of stuff. It's what inspires us and lets us sit back and say, hey, we want to make something as good as those things in that 15 Stars collection. Pretty cool stuff.
That is really cool.
No,
That's really cool.
I love that. Although my wife is a little mad at me because I dropped one and there might be a dent in our kitchen table, but we won't.
They're easy to drop.
That point.
It's for the. Just tell her it's for the Commonwealth. It's for it's what happens.
It's
for the Commonwealth.
history in the making. History in the making.
History.
It was not just you. We were dropping them at the park. We were definitely dropping
It really
them.
is. It's easy to pull it out, and it's just got enough weight to it that you.
It does.
If you're not really holding on to it, it will drop.
Yep. It really will.
Dude.
Like, I was really taken back by it. The first time I popped one, I was just like, what? What is this?
So
Is awesome.
for all of you new 15 Stars fans, be careful of the cork.
Hold on.
Yes.
But as we wrap up, you guys touched on this a little bit. You took my questions so early. I don't know what to do. No, just kidding. Clearly, some future releases are going to involve some of those popcorn blends. As you're talking about it, props to y'all for the ability to, because again, time, money, all that stuff with bourbon. Bourbon's fun. Whiskey's fun. You got to wait. You know what I mean? Like, it's the worst investment ever in some sense because you got to wait for it to hit the right sweet spot. But you're tapping into those unique red, white, and blue heirloom corns on a release in July. What other fun things can you tell us that may or may not be coming down the road here in 2025?
Yeah, so we got, like you said, the heirloom corns making an appearance in a blend. So not necessarily on their own, but in a blend. As for 15 Stars, that I would say we are releasing an aged rye. So we have our First West rye that is
Fantastic,
our 6,
by the way.
7, and 9-year-old rye. There will be an older rye in our portfolio in the next few months.
Ooh, Brandon.
Yeah.
You a rye guy, Brandon?
Oh, yeah.
What years, Ricky?
Yep.
What years? They're going to have to wait and find out.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm a huge rye guy. Like,
Old.
most people get spiciness, real spice from white rye, and they shy away from it. I get sweetness from rye, and I don't know why, but I do.
Yeah.
Like, I get sweetness.
I'm with you. I agree.
I love it.
I say I don't have a preference, but my rye side of my bar seems to fill up a little faster.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's always rye. I gravitate to it.
Yeah,
We got a super aged bourbon, another blend of was it 12 and 15? Uh, it's going to come out this fall that we're really excited about. In fact, it's going to go in the bottle next week, Ricky.
next week.
Nice.
I love it.
Yeah, so
So-
going in the bottle next week, and we'll release it, late summer, really. And then we got, as we said, this red, white, and blue corn. That's going to be probably the star, and that'll come out in mid-July, and it'll come out in a little different bottle than we've got today, and it's a little different ages of product. So it's 5, 6, and 7-year-old. It'll come in at a really approachable price, but it really has in it everything that we do with 15 stars. We'll bring the ages in a little bit, but it's a really unique, really special thing. And when you bring those corns in there, that's an extra tool that we have in the tool chest for blending that allows us to do some things that are really unique. So it'll come it'll be in end up in two expressions. One that it's kind of a straight bourbon, straight down the middle of the road bourbon. It's wonderful, and then in a toasted product as well.
Oh, nice. I'm really excited to try the popcorn because I'm really interested to see how the blue corn and the red corn, with the sweeter top corn, the white, whatever, because the blue and the red have a lot nuttier flavor to it. So I'm really interested in see how that tastes. I'm excited about that.
Now these will be corns. So our corns are not corns that other people are using. It's corns that we use in our popcorn business, right? And
Yeah.
These are strains that have not been distilled before by others. And so if you're thinking of other red corns, our red corn flavor is totally different than that. Blue corn's kind of the same way. So these are unique flavor. We did not know when we started this. Obviously, we didn't know anything. But when we started putting these corns in, we didn't understand the variety of flavors that each of those really did put out, and the uniqueness. And I can say we're really excited about it. And we probably need to do something sometime with them just on their own, so because people would really love to see it. When you eat those as popcorn, they each taste very different. And while it's not that exact flavor that comes through in the whiskey, they're just as different in a bourbon. And so it's really fun, really great flavors, really wonderful things for our toolbox in blending. And we're still a little off, but one of our really unique things is a barely legal rye, which means a 51% rye, 44% corn. That's black and white heirloom corns, and then a little bit of malted barley in there. So mostly, I'm using really those corns as a flavor grain, producing a really exceptional rye. So we're really excited about that. So playing with our corns, playing with our blends, playing with our finishes, playing with our proofs, in that flavor proofing methodology. It's really just blending a lot of really wonderful flavors together that we're excited about the next few years, because these are all going to start coming out.
Yeah.
You got me excited.
Yeah,
Me too.
Like, I just want to know. I just need to know. I know you can't tell me right now, but I need to know. But at the end of the day, Brandon, I don't know about you. 3 ports, 3 kings, triple cask. You like threes, clearly. Timeless Reserve, 13-year. Fantastic. Unique pours. And I really appreciate y'all taking the time to walk us through this and also let us try these fantastic things.
Yeah, thank you. I do have one other thing. The name of the popcorn business.
Black
What
Jewel.
Black Jewel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody can go to Amazon anywhere in the country.
Anywhere in the country?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So for everybody listening, I'm going to get on there tonight and get some Black Jewel popcorn.
I try the corns before their bourbon.
I'm going to make an old fashioned out of Black Jewel popcorn.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. Sounds good. Well, we appreciate spending some time with you guys. Thanks for
absolutely.
having us be a part of what you're doing. And,
Thank
as
you.
always, it's good people, so we really, really appreciate it.
Thank
fun.
you.
Absolutely.
We're happy. We're happy to be a part of you guys. We've been a long time friend. Big fans of you guys. So we hope to keep it going. Surely.
We'll do it. We'll get some of
Thank
those
you.
colored corns in front of you.
Yes.